Okay, so looking at question 10 to 18 of the June 2018 Unit 1 Maths paper, and starting with question 10, and we are looking for the best estimate or approximate value for the following calculation. Each of the numbers in the calculation will need to be rounded to 1SF. So rounding them to one significant figure, this one will become 600, 40 and 10. 600 divided by 40 plus 10 will be 600 divided by 50. Cancelling top and bottom by a factor of 10. We're going to have 60 divided by 5, which is 12. Looking at part B and looking for a 4% increase, this time we're going to be looking for a multiplier that is going to be 100% plus that extra 4. 104% as a multiplier would be 1.04. So already I can see that I have just two options. But because we're looking for it to be 7 times, we're going to be picking the one with the power of 7. Sometimes it's recorded as 7 years on a compound interest question. For part C, we need to be dividing by a fraction. To divide by a fraction, we follow the KFC rule. K stands for keep the first fraction the same. F stands for flip the second fraction upside down. And C stands for change, keep, flip, change the divider to a multiplier. 4 fours are 16, 5 ones are 5. I don't have 16 over 5 as an option. None of these are going to give me the right answer until I realise I can change this into a mixed number by saying how many 5s are 16 and what's left over. Then I can see which one I'm looking for. Question 11 is a Venn diagram question. Using my information, I need to fill each section of the Venn diagram. I can see here in the question I've got 30 rugby supporters. So within the rectangle there will be 30 as a total. First off, I'm told that 12 can sing both songs. The singers of both songs would be in this section here. So this section is going to include the 12 people that can sing both songs. In my second bullet point, I'm told 18 people can sing Bread of Heaven. That means that there will be 18 people in total that can sing Bread of Heaven, and not 18 people with the 12 people that are already there. That would make 30 people who can sing Bread of Heaven. So we need to make sure that the total for the entire circle is 18, and in this section we'll just have 6. The third and final bullet point tells me 5 cannot sing either, so that would be the total for the outside of the picture. This gives me a total so far of 23, and 7 people left for the National Anthem section. In part B, it asks to find the probability that a person can sing the National Anthem. If they can sing the National Anthem, they would be within this entire circle. That's going to give me 19 people. Not just the 7 people, but the 12 people that can sing both. And there are 30 people in the diagram, so it's going to be 19 out of 30. In question 12, we've got an expansion question. Expand means to multiply out the bracket, and then simplify means to tidy up our answer. So we're going to multiply and then simplify. The first bracket, everything inside is going to be multiplied by x, and in the second bracket, everything is going to be multiplied by a minus 3. First one, x times 5x gives me 5x squared. Second one, x multiplied by minus 2 gives me minus 2x. For the second bracket, everything needs to be multiplied by minus 3. Minus 3 times x squared gives me minus 3x squared. But the minus 3 times the minus 2 makes a positive 6. So I have a plus 6x. And for this last final part, the minus 3 multiplying the 7, minus 3 multiplied by a positive 7 makes a minus 21. But I've also got to simplify, so by gathering like terms, I'm going to put all the x squareds together. There's 5x squared here, take away 3x squareds there. That's going to leave me with 2x squareds. Looking at the x terms, for the x terms I have minus 2x here, but a plus 6x there. Minus 2 plus 6 gives me 4, so I've got plus 4x, and there isn't anything to change with that minus 21. In part B, I need to find the value of f. To find the value of f, the first thing I have to undo is that divide by 3. When I multiply by 3, I'm going to end up with 22 minus f equals 18. Normally the variable would be at the front of an equation and we would just look to use the opposite. But if the variable is in the equation, then to use the opposite, we actually need to swap its location with the answer on the right hand side. So the opposite of 22 subtract f is actually 22 subtract 18. And this tells me that f is 4. I can check. 22 take away 4 gives me 18. Divide by 3 gives me 6. Question 13 talks about a dice being thrown 2 times. This means that I've actually got 2 events in my probability. If I've got 2 events for a probability question, the safest thing to do is to draw up a little sample space. All of the numbers that are the option on my first dice and all of the numbers that are an option on my second dice turned into the equivalent of a times table grid. This makes it easy for me to see that there would be quite a lot of options. That top row would start off with 1 1, then have a 1 2, 1 3, 1 4, 1 5 and 1 6. Every row would then have another 6 outcomes, giving us a grand total of 36 outcomes in the entire table. If I'm looking for the 3 to be thrown on both occasions, the only way that that can happen is here with the 3 3. So there's 1 out of 36 as the probability that a 3 is thrown on both occasions. Part B, I can see that we have a pie chart giving us the company with the offices in Llanelli, Carnarvon, Newport, Newtown and Ebbw Vale. The pie chart shows the fraction of the committee members that are from each office. In the table just underneath, we can see that Llanelli is down for a half, which makes perfect sense, as half of the pie chart is given over to Llanelli. Carnarvon has a quarter of the pie chart, so we need to put a quarter in the table. The other two have equal sized portions, but they are smaller than a quarter. If I cut up the entire pie chart into those equal sized small portions, each of the portions would be worth 1/8. So Newtown would be 1/8 and Ebbw Vale would be 1/8 because it's been cut into 8 equal sized pieces. In part B, if I look at the pie chart, I can see that for the probability that a member is chosen from Llanelli or Ebbw Vale, I need to put two sections of the pie chart together. So if I look at the Llanelli part, I can see that it's here as 4/8. The Ebbw Vale part, added to give us both sections covered, would be a grand total of 5/8. 4/8 for Llanelli, 1 extra 8 for Ebbw Vale, 5/8 altogether. Question 14 is a standard form question. For a standard form question, all numbers in standard form must be between 1 and 10 multiplied by a power to an index number. This question can be done by separating the multiplication of the whole numbers, 2 times multiplying by 7.8, and the multiplying of the powers of 10 multiplied by 10 to the minus 4 and 10 to the 9. 2 multiplying 7.8 can be done in mental maths or it can be done in writing. It's going to give you 15.6. 10 to the minus 4 multiplied by 10 to the 9. To do this, we're going to have to put the minus 4 add 9, because in indices, when you have two powers that are multiplying the same base number, you add the powers. This is going to give us a power of 5, so that will be 10 to the power of 5. This answer is not finished because this isn't in standard form. This part needs to be between 1 and 10, which means I need to change it to a 1.56. And then because I've made it 10 times smaller, I need that extra 10 in the powers. Part B, I've got a mixture. This needs to be changed to standard form before I can do anything, and will need to be 3 times 10 to the power of 3. But like before, I can separate and have the actual number section here doing the division and the power of 10 section here doing the division. This time 3 goes into 3.9 1.3 times. And for these powers, if you're going to combine these powers and it's a division, you're actually going to need to think about a takeaway. So this time 1.3 times 10 to the power of 5. This is in standard form because we've already got here 1.3 being that number between 1 and 10. Question 15 is factorise. Factorise means put a bracket in. It's the opposite to expand that we saw earlier. If we need to put a bracket in, we need to look at the 12 and the 3 and pick the biggest number that will go into both. Look at the x squared and the x and see that there's an x in both. And the y doesn't have a counterpart in the first term. So because there's no y's in here, we can't take a y outside the bracket. What I put inside the bracket now needs to multiply by 3x in this first term to get me back to my 12x squared. So I'm going to need 4 to get me back to 12. I'm going to need an x to get me back to x squared, but I don't need any y's. Then a plus. To get to the second term, I already have 3 and I already have x, but what I need is that y, so it'll just be plus a y.